morning, good evening, and good afternoon. I hope you guys have been having a wonderful week. I know I have. And do we have a special episode for you today? For we are going to be interviewing yet another audio drama creator. But this time, it's not about a show that's already aired. This is a show that's actually going to be premiering. So, before I go into anything else, let's go ahead and have the guests introduce themselves. Tell us your name and the show that is going to be premiering on June 21st.
Yes. Hi, my name is Ashley Dean, and I'm the creator of an upcoming audio drama series called Oakbridge.
That's amazing. So, creator of Oakbridge, what got you into the world of audio dramas?
Well, I've listened to the old school radio dramas like the War of the Worlds that Orson Welles did that I liked, but I find podcasts in general very interesting media sources, and really what got me into wanting to create an audio drama was back in 2022 after season 4 of Stranger Things had come and gone. I'm a big Stranger Things fan. I was just looking for something else, really to do as a hobby during the time of, the wait period in between seasons. And so I'd already, been listening to some audio dramas out there, and I was like, I could do this. I could totally, do something in the audio drama field. And so that's kind of how I got into the world of audio dramas.
That's amazing. I actually got into the world of audio dramas, and don't laugh, from an I Love Lucy audio play. And I remember I was messing around.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I was messing around with my mom's DVD collection of I Love Lucy, and when I was in the settings, I saw that they had like an entire thing, which was I think about 30 minutes long, and it got me curious. And it was my first introduction to the world, and it was just so cool how they had these shows on the radios back then, and you could literally visualize everything that you could hear.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. What was I know you mentioned some of the classics. Do you remember the first audio drama you've ever listened to?
The first one I ever listened to was an audio drama called Bridgewater. That was the first one I ever listened to.
Nice. Was it full cast, or was it just one person just talking?
It's an ensemble cast with some pretty notable actors in it. Like I know Nathan Fillion was in it, and an actor named Misha. I can't remember his last name right now, but I know his first name was Misha. And that was created by Lauren Shippen, if you ever heard of her. But it's kind of within the same vein, I would say, as Oakbridge is. It's a little bit different, but that was the first one I ever listened to.
Well, that's awesome. I love Nathan Fillion, so that is amazing. I didn't even know he was in audio drama, so definitely going to be something to looking into later. But
yeah,
I know you mentioned your show, so I understand that Oakbridge is a new upcoming show that's going to be premiering on June 21st of 2024. Please tell me a little bit about your show.
Yeah, so Oakbridge is set in the early 1990s. Season 1 specifically is set in October of 1991, and the series basically just centers around mysterious occurrences that plague the small town of Oakbridge, Ohio, after the U.S. government erects a nuclear power plant facility there. And season 1, in a nutshell, is basically 2 teenagers are murdered by a mysterious entity, and a sheriff's deputy launches an investigation into it, and he uncovers more than he ever thought he ever would about the town of Oakbridge. So
that's awesome. I like how it's kind of similar to the Stranger Things vibe. So now I have an interesting question. Why did you choose the show to be set in the 90s? And of all the states in the United States, why Ohio?
Yeah, so, well, first of all, with the 90s, I was born in 97, so, kind of a 90s baby, came, there at the end. But I feel like, like, especially the early 90s, like, you still have some of those vibes of the 80s or even the 70s in terms of, the culture. But yet at the same time, right, when you look at, what's going on in the world, like in October of 1991, like the Soviet Union is only like 2 months away from officially falling. But, and just my research of, the feeling in America during that time regarding the Soviet Union, they kind of, felt like, oh, well, the Cold War, is over and, we don't have to deal with all that. But yet you still have, other worldly powers like North Korea, for instance, that, or in China that are slowly on the rise. North Korea, especially with the nuclear weapons and all that. And it's just, very... a big time of change in America post the Cold War. And I just, like that time period of, really 91 to about 96 is probably some of my favorite of the 90s to read about and research.
That's awesome. I know with a few other people I've talked to who set their shows before, they say one of the biggest things is that it makes it easier so characters don't have cell phones, so they can easily create storylines which would be solved easily with a cell phone if they would have set it in the modern age. Was that another thing that kept in mind for while making the show set in the 90s?
Absolutely. That's also one of the reasons that I love shows like Stranger Things and Twin Peaks and the X-Files, which, have big influence on Oakbridge, is that, they didn't have any of that back in those days. So solving the mysteries is a little bit more difficult because they didn't have that, huge resource of communication like a cell phone or the internet like we have today. And I can definitely tell you that if Oakbridge were set in modern times like today, it would definitely be a very, very different show. I mean, I'm sure we could find some ways to still make a good mystery, but it's definitely a lot easier to make a really good mystery with some twists and turns when you don't have something like an easy crutch like a cell phone for our characters to use. So that's definitely a big reason for my wanting to set it in the 90s.
Definitely understandable. Like I said, I've talked to a lot of people who say the exact same thing. And honestly, I kind of miss the lack of technology. It definitely gives a lot more eeriness and it just makes for some fun storylines. Now, I understand that there is a plague involved. Are we talking like flashback to the coronavirus plague, a zombie plague, vampirism? I can't speak today. Like something that turns into a vampire, or just good old fashioned green glowing plague that turns you into a monster?
I guess you're just gonna have to wait and listen to the show, Johnny, if you want to know the answer to that one. But no, I definitely would not. It's definitely not gonna be in coronavirus. I would not do that to anybody in the audience. That's something I feel like no one wants to really revisit. But no, like I wouldn't say like necessarily a plague in the sense of like the Black Death plague, but just a sense of like these are so things that are just happening that never really happened before in this town, and it's no coincidence that it starts happening after this facility is placed there. But I mean, I do have good ideas in mind for the future of the show, which I'm not going to tell you here. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, you're just gonna have to wait and listen to see what comes of it.
So what you're telling me is not only do I have to wait to your show, but for your future shows that you're kind of hinting at, I'm gonna have to bring you back on the show to talk about it.
Yeah, I guess that is what I'm saying.
Well, something definitely to look forward to.
Yes.
So when you were making this show, Oakbridge, did you have a lot of trial and error when creating the show? Or did you already have a solid idea of what you wanted the show to be?
Well, in the development process, I mean, I spent probably a good 6 to 7 months just developing the show. I started doing that towards the end of 2022, and really didn't even our writers room really didn't even start writing scripts until April or May of 23. So with that being said, I already had a solid idea of what I wanted, not only season 1 to be, but, overall what I want the show to be, and, where we're going with the show. And, I mean, right away, I knew how many episodes I wanted it to be. I knew, season 1, I knew what my point A was and what my point B was, and how I wanted, to get there. So, yeah, I mean, certainly for the first 2 seasons, I had everything, plotted out what I wanted to do. And even now, I know exactly where the season is, or the show, is headed. And I already now kind of have, put together some of the ending of the series in my mind of kind of, where I want to take the show. So yeah, I mean, I had that, plotted out from the get-go.
That's awesome. And besides yourself, how many other writers are on this show?
So for season 1, it's myself, and we have a writer named Sebastian Andrade, and then we have Nathan McKee, Tyrus Rayner, and Tara Eon. That's for season 1. Sebastian and Nathan wrote 2 apiece. I wrote 4 episodes, and Tyrus and Tara respectively wrote 1 each. So there's 10 episodes in total in season 1. And like for season 2, we have added a couple writers, different writers to the writers room for season 2. So that would be like, I believe 6 writers, including myself, for season 1.
Gotcha. And the fact that they're writing their own episodes, it's awesome that they have an understanding of the characters, what they're gonna say. So it's just they keep on running from episode to episode. And so I understand that this podcast is part of 97 to Now Productions. Can you tell me a little bit about this production company and how it came to be?
Yeah, absolutely. So 97 to Now Productions was founded by Mark Hilton and James Devereaux Lewis. They've been friends since they were in high school, and the reason it's called 97 to Now is because they've been friends since 1997. So you do the math there for how long they've been friends. But anyway, they kind of envisioned just providing creative people like myself with some opportunities to make art that they might not otherwise, get. And they've produced multiple audio dramas and podcasts, and they're diving into the comic book world. And they'll have a couple issues of an original piece coming in the next year. And they're also organizing the first ever comic convention in Carson City, Nevada, which is the capital city of Nevada. That it's called Kaboom Con, and it'll be held on November 7th in Carson City.
Gotcha. So is this the first series audio drama that you're a part of, 97 to Now?
No. So I am also a writer on another 97 to Now Productions audio drama series called Murphy's Inc. I joined the writer's room for that when they were writing for season 2, and I wrote for season 3, and I would be a part of the 4th season as well. And it's the little backstory behind how I came to be associated with 97 to Now was, when I wanted to get into audio dramas, I had a completely different show in mind that I wanted to do, and it was very hard to find production companies that were willing to take on unknown talent like me. And like one even was like, hey, I don't think we could really produce this for you. And so I was just on Reddit one day surfing the audio drama subreddit, and I saw this post from a user called Murphy's Inc., and they were kind of within the same kind of genre as what I was planning at that time in the more historical fiction realm. And they were looking for some writers or something, and they had put on there that they were produced by 97 to Now Productions. And so I reached out to them by the email address that they had listed, and I'm so glad that they responded, because not everyone who puts their email address out there actually responds. But they did, and they got me in touch with Mark and James. And we kind of, that audio drama pitch didn't really go very far, because we kind of collectively decided that, what I was trying to do for that probably would have been better suited for, live action or, a book or something. So, we kind of, that one was kind of scrapped. But Mark was like, hey, Murphy's Inc. we're currently writing season 2. Why don't you come and join the writer's room for that, and kind of learn a little bit more of how to write in the audio drama world, and learn more about how the writer's room operates, and from the organizational standpoint, how everything runs and the operation. And so I did, and it was during that time when I was gaining that experience is when I started getting the ideas together for Oakbridge, and thus it was kind of born from there.
Gotcha. And has the production process changed from the first show you were on to now with Oakbridge?
Well, from the production process, because just as a writer on Murphy's Inc., I wasn't, entirely involved with the production side of things, more so on the writing side. But once Oakbridge was greenlit, I was allowed to sit in on some of the recording sessions for season 2 of Murphy's Inc. just to see how that was, and I was really, really impressed by the process, because I was like, wow, this is like, it's like they're filming, but it's recording instead, and I was like, wow, this is number one, it's a lot of work, but this is so cool. And they also showed me some of how the editing process works and all that stuff, and it's a lot of work. I will say that, and even right now, with Oakbridge stuff, going through the production process for that, I'm like, who knew that so much went into even like a 30-minute episode. It gives me a lot of newfound appreciation for those in the industry who do that, but it just makes everything so much that more fun when you get to listen to the finished product and go like, wow, all this time and work, and look what it's created. So it's a lot of work. Certainly, but there's definitely some big payoffs for it.
That's amazing. And yeah, no, the editing process is long. I can't tell you how many hours I sometimes spend looking at editing my own show, and I'm there like, I wish I had money to hire somebody so they can do this. Because it's, like I said, it's insane. But I know with a lot of editing, there's sometimes like technical regrets or production mistakes. Like I remember when I first made this show, for the longest time, the voices that would come from me speaking would only come out of one ear for the longest time. And I did not notice until like 20 episodes later. And now I laugh about it, because it's like one of those things where somebody asks, I'll be like, well, it was the early stage of my show. But
yeah,
for you, were there any tech regrets or production mistakes that made you go crazy like then, especially working on Oakbridge, since you were now behind the production process, that, like I said, made you go crazy then, and it was a big deal then, but now you can laugh about it now?
Oakbridge is fortunate enough to have an audio engineer who does the editing and mixing and stuff for us. His name is Joseph Bly. Some call him the Sound Wizard, and rightfully so. He's also associated with 97 to Now, and has done work with them in the past. He's the audio engineer on Murphy's Inc. and some of the other productions that they have produced. And he that guy works wonders. Like he truly does. But Joe is very thorough, and he'll get through like every nook and cranny. And he's got a very good process. He'll send like usually 3 drafts when he's editing, so we can hear how, listen how everything sounds. And James Devereaux Lewis, who is the director of season 1, and myself as the creator, and when we're satisfied. And he's good about also making some suggestions, from a tech standpoint of kind of what maybe would work the best in terms of special effects, and all that good stuff. But I can tell you that maybe not so much from a tech standpoint, but from a writing standpoint, like there would be times when I would be listening to like the finished product of season 1 of Oakbridge, and I would go, like, especially on the episodes that I wrote, I would be like, ugh, I wish I had like maybe done something else there, or if I could go back, I would have changed that line to something else. And it's funny, like, with these things, you never really know what all is going to work until you hear them and stuff. So I will say, like, during the writing process of season 2, it has been much, much easier now that I've been able to hear, the cast and how everything sounds, once it's live. It's made it a lot easier. I mean, I would say there have been some writing regrets, for sure, but not big ones. Like, I'm very proud of the finished result, the finished product, and I think this is a very good introduction to this series and this world of Oakbridge. But I think it's perfectly normal and it's perfectly okay to have regrets, when you're doing things like this, because it's a lot, and you're going to miss things, you're going to overlook some things. But I will say, like, probably the most specific, like, tech regret has really nothing to do with Oakbridge. It has more to do with my Stranger Things podcast, when I was still fresh in the podcasting business, and it was like the 3rd episode I had done, and like half of the episode, like 45 minutes worth, is like, it was no sound, and it was so embarrassing. And I have no idea what happened to the sound. First half worked. I don't know what happened to the last half. But fortunately, that has not happened with Oakbridge. So we can all thank Joe Bly for that.
Well, Tech Wizard, you are hearing your praises on this show, so you are definitely appreciated. So, of course, you were talking about some of the, you were with, what was the previous show you called it? You said Mystery Inc.?
Murphy's Inc.
Murphy's Inc.
Yeah.
So I understand that you said it was more history, and I've actually listened to a couple episodes, and I know it involves time travel, especially with the first season going back to the Viking Age. What were for season 2 when you joined? What were some of the cool inspirations for some of the storylines that you had to come up with?
Yeah, so for season 2, I was primarily responsible for writing a story arc in which the characters of Murphy's Inc. Go back in time to the medieval period in like the Strasbourg area, with the dancing plague occurred, which was a real thing, a real plague. And so, for that, I mean, I did a lot of research on the real people that were involved with that. But I would say, because that arc does have a good villain in it, if I do say so myself. I would say, like, it's not really one, inspiration. I took, several inspirations from, things of the period, stuff from Shakespeare, and things like that. So, I would say there was like one true inspiration, for that, what I wrote. And two, like they had given me the outline of kind of what they wanted, to be written, and I just went based off that. But I love Shakespeare's work, so anytime I can, insert that into anything I'm writing, I'm going to do it.
What's your favorite Shakespearean work? I know mine is definitely Taming of the Shrew.
Oh, I love that one. I love Taming of the Shrew. But I'd probably say Hamlet is probably number one. followed by Much Ado About Nothing, and then Richard III is good. And then, of course, you have Romeo and Juliet in there. And then I love Taming of the Shrew, but also The Tempest, I think is a really under-the-radar Shakespearean play. I love that one as well.
Gotcha. And
Macbeth too.
Macbeth is not a bad one. I believe one of my favorite versions of that has to be with David Tennant. He was amazing in Macbeth. So, what has been your favorite episode of any series you have worked on so far?
I'd probably say episode 15 of season 2 of Murphy's Inc. is a really good one. I would encourage your listeners to listen to that one because it's really good. There's a major plot twist in that one, and it's really good. I really like that one.
Well, that's awesome. And of course with the Dancing Mania, it's funny, before you mentioned it, I had completely forgot that was an actual thing.
I didn't even know that it was a thing. I looked it up and I was like, oh, this really happened?
I just remember, during my Civ Pro class, it was like something that was talked about, and they talked about the different theories, the different hypotheses that they thought that caused it, because, to this day, it's even unknown.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I love a good conspiracy theory, good theory, and there are like tons about the dancing plague. But yeah, you're right. Like even today, they still don't know the true cause. I feel like it's probably compilation of things, not just one singular thing.
Definitely could be, especially during that time. Who knows? So I know you told me about your favorite episode you worked on. What has to be your favorite show that you have worked on so far?
Well, officially I've only worked on 2, Murphy's Inc. and now Oakbridge. I did have an opportunity to come on board as a story consultant for a show that never really took off. And to my knowledge, it's not even out there to this day, because when I went to read the work, there was like nothing, and I was like, where's the story? And they're like, well, I thought you were gonna help with that. I was like, no, you asked me to be a story consultant, to read what you had and to provide some input and feedback, and like there's nothing here. And so I don't know, they didn't get that far because I was like, you can't really, just conjure up one for you. And there was that. And then there was another one that I had wrote out that I wanted to do. And I was actually, going to pitch it to 97 to Now. I actually had a co-creator as well. But for whatever reason, like he ghosted me. Cause like he I don't know, it was going so well, Johnny. It was like, I was like, hey, here's when we now kind of need to get going on outlines and stuff. And by the time the deadline got there, I tried to reach out to him and he never responded.
Ouch,
still
I'm
to
sorry
this
about
day. So I don't know what happened to that, but I think it's probably a good thing because, there's some elements from that series that I put into Oakbridge. But I really liked that one, and I kind of wanted it to take off. But out of the 2 I have worked on officially, I love Murphy's Inc. It's really good to work on. It's really good to, just have fun and play around with time. Like, not really time travel itself, because admittedly, I'm not the biggest time travel fan, but I've always wanted to go on a time machine and go back in time, and so I love that aspect of the show, and I love Oakbridge as well. That's kind of, like my baby, but I love working on Murphy's Inc. and everyone involved with the show. They're so good to work with, and they're very passionate about the show, and so yeah, I love working on Murphy's Inc.
Well, that's amazing. And I know you said you would love to go on a time machine. What era would you go to?
That's a pretty hard question to answer, because I love history. I love to read and research. I actually have a bachelor's degree in history, but I feel like probably the first the first era I would probably go back to would probably be during the 1770s, during the American Revolution. It's probably where I would go first, because I love that time period, like researching that time period. And then maybe back to the Renaissance era, the Henry VIII would probably be my second stop.
That definitely sounds good. I definitely I'm a big foodie, so definitely taking big trips to different eras of time and trying out the foods.
Oh yeah, definitely. I love food too, so there would definitely be food involved.
Well, that's awesome. So I understand with Oakbridge, you're going for a Stranger Things vibe, but do you have a favorite genre that you want to get into that's different than the one you're currently in?
Yeah, I really love comedy, like sitcoms, or in the style of The Office or Parks and Rec. I would definitely love to do one, in that style of, or like Abbott Elementary. I would definitely love to do one in that style. I think that would be pretty cool.
A lot of potential.
Yeah. And I feel like there is a lot that you could still like do. There's so many areas, like, whether it be like business areas or what have you, that I could definitely conjure up some idea to do. I think that would be pretty cool to do.
Oh yeah, definitely. So what has been your favorite character that you have witnessed so far from any audio drama? It doesn't even have to be the character you've created. What is your favorite character in the audio drama world? Or perhaps who is your favorite character so far?
So this can be any audio drama I've ever listened to, or
any audio drama you have ever listened to. It doesn't even have to be the one you created.
Oh, okay. Well, I really like the character from the Sheridan tapes, Jack Sheridan. I love that show. I like listening to that character. But I also like the character of Jeremy in Bridgewater, because he's a very complex character. And I just love listening to that show and hearing how he evolves as a character. So I feel like Jeremy from Bridgewater is probably my favorite.
Gotcha. And is Jeremy voiced by Nathan Fillion or different actor?
So Jeremy is voiced by an actor named Misha Collins, I believe. I know his first name is Misha. The Nathan Fillion voices Jeremy's dad in season 1.
Gotcha. Okay. Like I said, definitely have to check that out. As soon as you said Nathan Fillion, I was like, all right. Definitely going to be adding that to the list. So, with all your experience so far within the audio drama world, what keeps you passionate about the medium?
Just knowing that, this is like, a TV series, but for, as I like to say, but for your ear holes. With all the special effects and everything available these days, and especially if you or someone has experience in audio editing and stuff, you can create something that is so good that people don't even have to actually watch with their eyes to be entertained. I mean, there are some limitations, of course, with audio dramas that you can't do like you would with an on-screen show or film, but that's really what keeps me passionate about the medium, and just knowing too that I can sit there at work and listen to this stuff all day and still be able to do my job. That's what I enjoy so much about the audio drama medium.
Gotcha. And I know you said you guys have a sound wizard and you're the writer of the show. So here's an interesting question. Do you think writing the show is harder or editing the show is harder?
Well, since I'm not a sound wizard, I would probably say that for me, editing the show would be harder. But I mean, I really feel like the toughest part about the writing is, making sure that you're not writing yourself into a corner and making sure that everything makes sense. I'd say that's probably the toughest part about it. But I would advise anyone out there to, if you are a writer or want to write, an audio drama, try not to think about writing it. Just write it. Because when you start to really think of writing out a plot twist or doing this and that, like it makes it that much harder. I feel like just write it and just let it come naturally, because if you try so hard and focus on I really got to get there, I really have to get from my point A to point B, it's going to be that much harder. Trust me, it's a constant battle for me, even for me, and sometimes I have to take a step back and re-examine what I've written and go, I think I really like that, but it's just not going to work. And for a show like Oakbridge, because there's a lot of narrative involved, even though there's a lot of cool stuff I want to do, I know that I can't really do that because it's going to mess up the narrative, and I can't start here and then by the time I end it be all over the place. So I'd say that's probably the more challenging part of writing. So from my standpoint, editing seems like it's more difficult than writing.
Yeah, no, I could definitely agree with the editing, because, yeah, like I said, hours upon hours just trying to get that right sound and all the other toys. And when your editing system decides to update and they switch around some buttons and all that stuff, it makes me go insane, because now I have to relearn a couple stuff. So I definitely agree with the editing. So I know you've, since you worked on Murphy's Inc. and now with Oakbridge, what are some of the people you've had the pleasure of working with within the audio drama world?
Well, obviously, Joe Bly and Mark and James in our writers' room, and just all the actors. Like we have some really good actors who I'm very excited about. One in particular who voices our lead. I knew I wanted him from the beginning, and I was like, man, if we can't get this guy, if he can't do it for whatever reason, that's just gonna really stink, because I really want him for this part.
And what's his name?
His name, the actor's name is Connor Howard, and he voices Deputy Jack Harris. And some of our actors have had like 10 plus years, some 20 plus years of voice acting experience, or doing like commercials.
Oh,
Or
wow.
one, her name is Monica Wolfkill, and she voices Julia Ingram in Oakbridge. She was actually on a couple episodes of Forensic Files from way back in the day.
Way.
And that's a live action. Yeah. And Connor and Monica are actually native Ohioans, so didn't even know that, when we casted them until like later. So there's definitely some good authenticity in there. But yeah, I really enjoy, have really enjoyed getting to know the actors, and just, communicating with them. And I've been emailing them and talking with them about what they can expect in season 2 with their characters. And they're just so passionate about the show and their characters. And for me, that's really good for me as the creator to hear that. And I always want, of course, I want to please 97 and Now, because I want them to produce my show. But I really want the audience and the actors to love the show, because if they're not in sync with it, it's not really, can't really justify continuing to make the show if no one really likes it or believes in it. So I'd say it's a joy to work with everybody involved in the show. But Mark and James too are really good to work with as well. They're both very good at the creative side as well. It's certainly Joe. So
that's awesome that you got to work with so many awesome people and got to know people who've been in the voice acting business for 10 plus 20 plus years. That's always a great opportunity, and not to mention great networking as well. So for any future shows, you can always try to hit them up.
Yeah, exactly. And in fact, you mentioned networking. We actually, have a couple of new writers for season 2 who I can't really announce all that just yet, because we haven't even season 1 hasn't even come out in its entirety yet. But a couple of those writers wrote for another podcast I really love, The Morbid Forest. So, which I think is a pretty big audio drama in and of itself. So getting them to come on and want to write for season 2 of the show it's just been amazing. And I'm like, it's crazy, all the good positive attention that Oakbridge has already received, and no one's hasn't even listened to episode 1 of season 1 yet. So it's really good for me as a creator to to know that.
That's awesome. And I definitely know the creator of The Morbid Forest. Just don't steal too many of Sean's and Naomi's writers, because I know they're definitely going to need them back for their upcoming season.
Oh, no, they don't have to worry about that. It's all good. I hope they know that I'm not trying to steal their writers.
You hear that, Sean, Naomi?
Okay.
You're safe. So I know you mentioned The Morbid Forest, but what are some of your favorite audio drama shows that you've listened to? Like for me, one of my favorites is definitely Midnight Burger. I absolutely love Old Gods of Appalachia, We're Alive, and those are like literally my top 3.
Yeah, I love Old Gods of Appalachia. Ghost Wax is good. Bridgewater, as I just mentioned, Morbid Forest, let's see, Cascadia is good, Ice Cream is also good, Supermarket, I like that one as well. Have you ever listened to one called Dirt? That one's pretty interesting.
That was with the radio waves, right?
Yes.
I think I've listened to them a while back, but I think it's been a few years.
And the Sheridan tapes, that one's also good. Those are probably in my top 10 of audio dramas that that I've listened to a few times. But I really love Old Gods of Appalachia. That one's very interesting. I love listening to that one. That's kind of my comfort show, if you will.
Understandable. So, with that being said, especially since you came into the audio drama world with Murphy's Inc. Season 2, what are some of the misconceptions about the audio drama world that people might have? Like, is everyone who makes them or does the voice acting super rich? Is it like super easy or super hard to make the show? Like, what are some misconceptions that you saw and can easily like do away with?
Well, I guess about being super rich off of audio dramas, I guess that would depend on who you are. Because I'm not super rich. It has not made me super rich. In fact, like, we haven't even made any money off of this. But I feel like probably one of the bigger misconceptions that people have about audio dramas would be like, oh, it's an audio drama, it's just recorded, it's not, it can't take that long to produce, and everyone is different, certainly. Every creator has their own process that they like to do, but for ours, the one that we've done on Oakbridge and that has been done on Murphy's Inc. is the writing process is, we outline and then we go into scripting, and then we'll edit and review the scripts and get them recording ready, which that usually takes like, a good 5 months, give or take, to do that. And the recording itself, like for season 1 of Oakbridge, only took like 2.5 months, but the editing, takes, a good 4 months to do. And so, like, for season 1 of Oakbridge, I literally have been involved with it for like over a year, from start to finish, to premiere of the season. And so I think that people maybe think, again, because it's an audio drama and not like a TV series, that it wouldn't take as long, but I don't really think that's necessarily the case all the time, because we do like to do it in a very professional way. And if you want it to be quality and sound quality, have written quality, that takes time. And also definitely I think people maybe think that, people who create audio dramas, get involved to become super rich. And some, they might do that. But for me, if the show makes money, I mean, that's great. I would love for that to happen, certainly. But I mean, I'm not looking to become a millionaire from this. I mean, if anything, I really would love one day for it to become a live action series so that I could become super rich, from that. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So if it does become live action, are you thinking Netflix, Amazon, Tubi, Shudder?
Yeah, I'd probably say, maybe Netflix or Apple TV, probably, be my top two choices. But I mean, even if, it wasn't them or if it was, somebody else, just being able to see it on my TV, I just think would be really awesome.
That is awesome. And yeah, no, it'd be really great to see your creation come to life in the big screen. So for other people out there who want to get into the world of audio drama, what advice do you have for them?
The biggest thing advice I could give to them would be, just to understand, like, it's not live action. It really is, audio based. And even though, like, some of, the way I outline is from a more visual standpoint, just so everyone can kind of, get a feel for the scene, like, you're going to have to put in the sound effects and all that in there. And there will be things where you would not be able to do on an audio drama, because people can't see what's happening. They can only hear it. But I mean, the biggest thing is, if you're out there and you want to start an audio drama, just do it. Don't go into it thinking like, I have to be, the Duffer Brothers and just, have like all this experience and all that to do it. I mean, look, if you have a story that you want to tell via audio drama, then just do it. The worst that people can tell you out there is no. Which, in and of itself, we don't want to hear the word no, but, just do it. Just go out there and do it and just have fun. And if you believe in the story that you want to tell, again, just do it. And you'll probably have the most fun of your life.
That's awesome advice. And yeah, it's always important to have fun. And because if you're not having fun, then why do it at all, right?
Right.
So lastly, I know you mentioned little tidbits, and I know you can't reveal a lot for your upcoming show, but is there anything at all people can expect from Oakbridge that's going to be coming out on the 21st of June?
So June 21st, we're releasing episode 1 of season 1, and that's, really just, an introduction to our show. And it definitely will kick off the season for sure. That's all I'm going to say about, what to expect from episode 1. And then after that, episodes 2 through 10 will release consecutively over the course of the next 9 weeks. So I believe the last episode 10, will be premiering August 30th on a Friday. So basically, you have all summer to listen to season 1 of Oakbridge, and season 2 currently is greenlit. It's currently in the writing process, so you can at least expect a season 2 at some point. But yeah, June 21st, season 1, episode 1. We're really excited about it. Looking forward to it. I am, even though I've already listened to it a few times. It just sounds incredible. And it was everything I imagined it would be, and more. And can't wait for everyone to listen to that and the season.
And I can't wait for everybody else to listen to the show, love it, demand season 2, get season 2, and then demand seasons 3 through how many other seasons you need to tell the full story.
Yes.
Well, Ashley, thank you for coming onto my show. It was an honor and a privilege to interview you for your upcoming show. And for those of you out there who wants to definitely support 97 to Now Productions, definitely check out Murphy's Inc. I believe it's on anywhere you listen to podcasts. Am I right, or is it not on a specific podcast thing?
Yeah, it's on everywhere you can get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple, Podchaser, all the major ones. It's out there.
Perfect. Well, everybody, it's been a pleasure, and I'll see you guys next week when I have the honor of interviewing James Lewis, the president of 97 to Now Productions and the director of Oakbridge. Well, everybody, I'll see you next week for an amazing episode. And Ashley, thank you again for coming onto my show. It has been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Johnny. I had a really good time talking to you about audio dramas and Oakbridge.
Fantastic. Well, everybody, sayonara, see you later, and have a good one. Goodbye.